Hello, mathematical literacy learners. Welcome to question 1 from the Northwest, June 2023. Just a reminder, we are only doing question 1 from 4 question papers this year, and then we will move on to question 2. Question 1 normally has grade 10 questions and some grade 11 and grade 12 questions. So yeah, let's get started. Due to high cost of electricity in South Africa, some residents choose to use illuminating paraffin. The graph below shows the cost of paraffin over the period of 12 months in 2020. So in this graph, I'm going to find paraffin prices, and they are going to be spreading over the period of 12 months. And then the graph comparing the cost per liter of illuminating paraffin in January to December 2020. So the graph here is from January to December. And as you see, here's January, the bar for January. So this is a bar graph and the bar for January. And if you just read there for January, the paraffin is 8.60 Rand. Now it doesn't say here, but it says there at the top that this is a cost per liter. So per liter means per 1 liter. If it said per 2 liter, then it would be in 2 liters. But this is per liter, so that means per 1 liter. Like an apple means 1 apple, right? Okay, so now if you look at the bar here that says 8.60 Rand, 1 liter in January 2020 was 8.60 Rand. Okay, so if you see there's different changes, it first goes down slightly and then it keeps going down up until May. It's a decrease, and then it starts increasing from June to July and August, and then in August it starts decreasing for September. And then so there's a decrease in September, there's a decrease again in October, and there's a decrease in November, but then in December there's a slight increase, right? So that would be the trend of the graph. So now they're saying 1.1 says, write down the type of graph drawn above. So this is a bar graph, but I'm going to write it for you so that you know what bar is, because it's best to not just hear words, but to also see them written down. I'm just going to remind you, the question said, write down the type of graph drawn above. This graph here is a bar graph. We do get also a stacked bar graph where they would have taken February and put it right on top. So when you were reading this, you would have to then say, where January ends, you would then have to say the number reading at the top minus the value where January ends, and then you would get February. And if March was also stacked right there, then you would say the number you read on top of January minus the number you read on top of February, and then we'll get you the value of May. So that would be a stacked bar graph. And then we have a double bar graph where you would get maybe paraffin and petrol. So it would be petrol and paraffin, and then you would have 2 of them in January, 2 of them in February, so on and so forth. And that would be a double. Double means 2. Or you can get a compound where you can get more than 2, you can get 3, you can 4 in the same. So maybe this one would be petrol, diesel, and paraffin at this in January, and then February, same thing again. So that would be a compound bar graph. State whether the data above is discrete or continuous. Now, when we're talking about discrete or continuous data, we're talking about a type of data that is, I'm just going to write it here, even though that's not part of the answer. There are 2 types of data. We have categorical and we have numerical data. Before I continue, please be reminded that this is a revision channel, not a learning channel, and not a memorandum channel, right? Or a marking guideline channel. So we're here to revise work. So I'm going to continue. Categorical data and numerical data are two types of data, right? And then numerical data is separated into two. We have discrete data and we have continuous data. Right? So from a categorical, it's where you get groups like color, types of cars, right? And then we have numerical data, where numerical data is things like that can be counted and things that can be measured. So like measurements of height, measurements of length, and then we have things that can be counted, the number of books on a shelf, right? And then so discrete data deals with all the counted, and continuous data deals with all the measured. Name the month in which the illuminating paraffin was the most expensive. So most expensive, it means cost is higher. The cost is higher than all of them. So we're just going to look at the largest number there, and that will be 8 Rand 60 cents. That is the highest, most expensive. Had they said the least expensive, we would look at the cheapest time, and that would be May, and then that would be May. Okay, so name the month. Right? The answer says they're not saying name the price, the amount. They want the month. Right? So here we're going to have the month is January. And then we have 1.4, which says arrange in ascending order the cost of illuminating paraffin for the 12 months, for all of them. Okay, so in ascending order, let's deal with ascending and descending. The way I remember it, I always start with descending. Descending and decrease go together. So descending means decrease. So what does it mean when something decreases? It gets smaller and smaller, like soap. It starts big, you use it, and it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. That is descending, right? And then ascending will be, of course, the opposite of decrease, which is increase. Now it's starting smaller and getting bigger and bigger, like a balloon, right? Okay, so I've already numbered them so that it will be easy for me. I'm just going to show you. 3 Rand 69 is the smallest because we're going from smallest to biggest. And then 409 will be the second one. And then we go to we don't have any money that starts with 4. So we go to 5. 5 Rand 60, 5 Rand 75, and 5 Rand 92. Those are the 3 ones. So the smallest in the 5 Rands is 5 Rand 60. So that'll be the next one. And then 5 Rand 75, and then 5 Rand 92. Right? So then we go to 6 Rands, and I have 6 Rand 623, 662, 636, and I have 604 over there, and that is all my 6s. So I'm just going to arrange my 6s. The smallest one in the 6s is 6 Rand and 4 cents. And then the next one will be 623, and the next one will be 636, and the next one will be 662. Then I go to the 7s. I only have 1, so that'll be 7 Rand 90. And then I go to 8s. I have 2. 858 is next, and then the highest one will be 860. So from smallest to the biggest. Okay, so we're moving on to 1.5. Determine to 2 decimal places the unit ratio of the price of paraffin for October to November. But October is here, November is here. So they are asking us to write the unit ratio. So as I've said before, always ask yourself, what are they asking? What is the main question? They want us to do a unit ratio looking at October and November, and then we'll deal with the rounding off later. Okay, so October is, the price there in October is 5 Rand 60 and ... the ratio, and November is 575, right? So they say we must write this as a unit ratio. To a unit ratio, we have simplified ratio and we have unit ratio. So simplified ratio is when you find a number that divides on both sides, leaving it simpler. And then unit ratio is when the ratio starts with 1, ... and then you don't know what the answer is. You're just going to divide there and get the answer. So how do we get 1 at the beginning? We say 560 divided by 560, and that gives us 1. And then we say dot, and then we say 575 divided by whatever we did this side. Then we're going to say 560 this side as well. And then we use our calculator because the answer is not going to be 1 anymore. So that's 5.75 divided by 560, and then we get 1.026785714. Right, we've done the unit ratio, and now we're going to do the last part because they asked us 2 things here to round off to 2 decimal places. So here is the one we can round it off. So that's 1 is to 1,03. Determine the difference between the highest and the lowest cost price per liter. Now, difference and range are the same thing. They measure the spread, the distance between 2 numbers, right? So, range, distance, difference. I'm going to start with the formula. I always start with the formula. Highest minus lowest. Now, just to remind myself, I'm calculating difference here, and therefore my difference is unknown. And then I need to find my highest. There it is, 8.60 minus the lowest, which is 3.69. And that will give us 4.91 rand. Basically, what this means is in January, the paraffin was 4.91 rand more expensive than in May. 7 says, calculate the number of liters of illuminating paraffin that can be bought for 250 rand in September 2020. So we need to know now, we have 250 rand, we're going to the shop. So we just want to know how many liters are we going to get. You know, you don't want to bring a 5 liter and then it ends up you're getting 20 liters, right? So we're also looking at the price from September. So let's first find out, if I buy 1 liter, how much do I need? So in September, you will get 1 liter for 6.36 rand. So 1.7. In September, 1 liter is equal to 6.36 rand. This I know. But I don't have 6.36 rand. I have 250 rand, but I do not know how many liters that is, and I just cross multiply, right? So 1 liter multiplied by 250 is equal to unknown multiplied by 6.36 rand. Where's my unknown? There. Multiplying, so I'm going to do the opposite of multiply and divide this one by 6.36, and then come this side and divide this by 6.36. Therefore, my unknown is 61. So I'm just going to write the answer of the calculator first. Before we continue and rounding off, we're going to look at this calculation here. You don't have to do the cross multiplication. I do it just to make sure that I don't multiply when I'm supposed to divide. Okay, so let's round off to 2 decimal places. Remember, money has 2 numbers on the other side of the comma. 2 decimal places is there at 0, and we're going to look at the number in the neighboring the neighbor, and the neighbor is 5 or above. So it's above 5. We can then 0 is going to be affected, and it's going to increase from 0 to 1. 8. Convert the price for September to cents. 1 rand has 100 cents. So if you have 100 cents, you have 1 rand. If you have 1 rand, you have 100 cents. Now, what we have here in September is 6.36 rand, right? So we have 6.36 and 36 cents. See how I read it? 6 rands and 36 cents. So I already have and 36 cents. So when I'm converting this, I don't need to convert the cents, the 36, because it's already in cents. So what I'm going to convert is I'm going to convert the 6 rand. So that's how I'm going to answer my 1.8 by saying 6 rand multiplied by 100 cents plus 36 cents. But I don't have to do it immediately. Let's not do it immediately. And that will give me 600 cents. Now remember, we also have the 36 cents. So all in all, this is 636 cents. I do the conversion this way so that you know when you're converting 1,62 hours and when you're dealing with 1.5, so right? 1 full hour here, and we have 0,62 hours. So here we have 1 hour and 0,62 hours. So you can be able to convert it properly. And then here we have 1, and then we have and a half, right? That way you can convert it properly with understanding what is going on. Before we do the last question, I'm just going to ask you to please subscribe, share, like, and shout out to everybody and help the channel grow. Thank you. 1.9. The price of illuminating paraffin was increased by 52.3% in June. Calculate in rand the price increase. They just want to know the increase, which is 52.3. They just want to know the increase. They don't want to know anything else. So 4,09 multiplied by 52.30%. And then we have 4.09 multiplied by 52.3 divided by 100. 2.13907. I'm just going to round off that because it's money, so it's 2,14 rands, the increase there.